The Northern Off-Road Championship kicked off this weekend with the opening round at Wickenby. Ground Tracks were back on board as season sponsor, and Ouse Valley Baits joined the championship as sponsors here at round 1. This championship, as you know, takes in all kinds of conditions and terrain throughout the season. But this one would be rare. Racing this weekend would take place in, yes, you guessed it, the snow. Snow day? What snow day? On to the first day of competition then, and it will be a great start to the event for Aston and Martin Cox. The pair, no strangers to a good result, and neither was the car. They take a good lead over the first day to start the season off perfectly. However, it could have been a lot different, having a moment here on the third run of the day and hitting a bank, spinning the car.
Quick, start.
For Simon Adams and James Watts, it will be second place at this stage. They were, of course, at a disadvantage in these conditions. The lack of a windscreen in the car would mean they'd have to fight off the cold and the driving snow, as well as all of the water around the course on the first couple of runs. It would be a good start to the event for Gary Bowers, the Metro 6R4 inspired race car, looking and sounding great on the course, when the wind wasn't drowning out the noise, that is. Third place for now, second in the class. Frustration early on for Huggy Farmer and Richard Rawlinson. Their regular car wouldn't be ready for the opening round, instead taking part in something hired. They start the event well though, considering, taking fourth place for now and second in the class. It would be the first time out in a new car for Mark Calzoni this weekend, and things were going well. Third place in the class, as well as lying in fifth place on the overall leaderboard. Mark sensibly opting for a windscreen in his car. Meanwhile, there will be a mixed start for Tim Sagar. A puncture on the second run of the day, losing him around 30 seconds. That means sixth place to end the day. He does, though, lead the way in Class 8 with that position. Unfortunately for some, the luck and the drama would be worse. Phil Bayliss makes a great start to the event, running just outside our podium places, but that would come to an end with gearbox problems. We also lose Rick and Sandra Mann, putting some event-winning times in the bag, but that would come to an end when they hit a bank later in the day, resulting in a sore back for Sandra, and the pair calling it a day just to be safe. And for Robin and Becca Clarkson, it will be mechanical issues sidelining the pair, not making it out of the first run of the day before pulling over. Another pair with a new car this season, Ian and Lee Davidson, were having a good start to the event. The lead in Class 6 was theirs, but it wasn't without its troubles. They struggle with the washers blocking halfway around the course, meaning very limited visibility towards the end of the runs, as if these conditions weren't tough enough. For Chris Benfield, it will be fourth place in Class 2. This class looking like a popular and competitive one already this season. The times were improving as the day went on as well for Benfield, ending the day with 8th place on the leaderboard. It will be a great start for Stephen Ham, leading the way in Class 4 and inside the top 10 in 9th place overall, just 7 seconds back from Benfield. And rounding out the top 10 would be Ben Middleton. The times would be good enough for the lead in Class 3, clearly pushing the car well from the start. Second in that class and just outside the top 10 with 11th overall would be Craig Mason. A little bit of time lost with a stall on the morning stages wouldn't be helping with their results, but there was plenty of time to make that back. For Chalky White, it will be second place in Class 8 at the end of the day, a little way off the class lead, but with a good advantage in that second position. And the racers chasing him down would be Glyn and Gemma Smith, third in Class 8 to finish the day. Their advantage in that position not quite as big, but they were still holding on to the podium place in the class for now. Richard Cooper and Adam Turner wouldn't be having the best starts to their day, it was fair to say. They get a puncture on run 5, then another one on run 6, coupled with fuel pump problems, meaning a maximum and 14th place overall after running inside of the top 10. Ian Goodyear ends the first day with 15th place overall and 4th in Class 8. The first run maximum wasn't helping that overall time, but the rest of the day's times were looking competitive in the class. There'd be around a minute's difference in Class 9. Richard Cooper out in the lead of that class, with Mark Walker taking up 2nd in the class, 16th place on the leaderboard. And there'd be just 2 crews in Class 1. Michael Wilson taking the early lead in the class. At the end of day 1, the times would be very close though. And indeed it would be a close battle with Billy Cruikshank and Grant Miller, 2nd in the class, just 3 seconds back. The cars and crews looking to be very evenly matched over the 6 runs of the first day of competition. Rounding out our finishers on day 1 would be James Pate, 2nd place in Class 4, 19th on the leaderboard at this stage in the event. We would lose a few more crews on day 1, David Wilson being one of those. He'd have some problems on the first run of the day, but it would be a crash on run 2, finishing that day off for him, losing the alternator belt and not having a replacement with him to exact a repair. Meanwhile, for Tom Wood, it will be run 3, a couple of maximums in his final stages before calling it a day. So the first day of the season complete, and what a season it was looking like being already. And a results table looking very different to the end of last season as well. More snow forecast overnight. Day 2 could turn things around once again. And there was one thing guaranteed with that in mind: drama.
Tough, wet, horrible, slippery. On the 3rd run, I had a terrifying moment where we thought we were going to go end over end, but yeah, guys survived. A bit of body damage, patched it up with a bit of aluminium. I've handed the reins over to the old boy for the rest of the afternoon, and he's kicking my arse. But yeah, good course. Yeah, take my hat off to the marshals and the organisers and whoever like this for just enduring this.
And of course your cameraman as well.
How have you found it, Aston? You've done the last 3 runs today?
Actually, really, I'd say from this morning it was all really wet and it's improved a lot. No more water on the screen, which is a massive advantage because you haven't got to sit there with the wipers on.
Yeah.
But no, it's really good. Cars behaving well. Had a bit of a mishap down this morning, which was a bit scary, but apart from that, all good. So, yeah.
Extremely challenging. The worst thing the first few laps was we were dropping into the mud holes, the water was coming through and we literally couldn't see. We had to stop, I think, 3 or 4 times each lap and physically stop and just wipe. I mean, bizarrely, even though it seems colder now, it's so much better now because the water's gone out the worst bits. And I've actually started to warm up a little bit. Although everything's frozen in the car, the belts are frozen, the steering wheel's frozen. Yeah, challenging, but yeah, I'm actually enjoying it a lot more than I thought I would.
Right, Gary, treacherous conditions today, how have you found it?
It's been very testing. Yes, I'm not used to sliding so much, but nice and smooth is definitely the way to go. Nice and smooth around the chicane at the second part of the circuit. I think there's a lot of people gone off there today, so including myself, so we've just reeled it in a little bit and nice and smooth.
Plans for tomorrow?
Same, I think, because I don't think the weather's going to change. Put an extra pair of socks on, I think.
First run round we had mud on inside and outside of the windscreen, which were frozen, so obviously the wipers can't keep up with that. So you're just driving blind and hoping that you remembered the course.
Plans for tomorrow?
Yeah, kind of looking forward to it. I think we're running 4th or 5th overall, which is a pretty good result, saying last year we're 3rd in championship in our other car, and this is the first time in knock with this particular motor, and all credit to Greg Motorsport for preparing the vehicle so well.
On to the second day then, and as expected, the snow would have covered the course overnight. But that didn't change things for Aston and Martin Cox, keeping a good lead over the morning stages. The snow clearly wasn't affecting things too much. The time's just a little slower than day 1. For Simon Adams and James Watts, it would still be second. The pair still putting in some good times and enjoying the snow on the stages, even if it was coming in the car. Simon back for another year of sponsorship in the championship via Ground Tracks. No change in our final podium place this morning. Gary Bowers would continue to hold on to that third place for now in the Metro. Not quite on the times that the leading pair, but holding his own in third. Just outside the podium places, it will be fourth overall for Tim Sagar, stepping up to take that position this morning and maintaining the lead in Class 8 as well. There wouldn't be any change for Mark Calzoni. Fifth place would still be his at the end of the morning runs. His pace looking consistent with the day one times as well at this stage. Chris Benfield gains a couple of places through these runs, ending the morning with 6th place overall, as well as 3rd in the class. There'd be a few minutes to Calzoni up ahead in the class though. No real problems to report for Ian and Lee Davidson this morning. They continued to get used to the car. A few spins along the way were just showing that they were finding the limits. They end the morning with 7th place on the leaderboard. It would be this man, Stephen Ham, in 8th. He'd hold the lead in Class 4 as well with those times, a great advantage in the class as well. Sadly for Huggy Farmer and Richard Rawlinson, there'd be a drop down the leaderboard. They have mechanical issues, meaning a maximum and a drop down to 9th place overall. But there'd be no change for Ben Middleton, still rounding out our top 10 at this stage in the event, as well as leading the way in Class 3. It would be a good advantage in that class as well, with Craig Mason settling into 2nd for now, 2 minutes back from Middleton and lying in 11th place overall. No change to 12th place overall for Chalky White, taking a couple of runs to get back up to speed this morning once a line started to appear and he built up that pace again. For Richard Cooper and Adam Turner, things were not quite going to plan. A roll on run 10, for example, would lose them some time, but they were okay and they were back out on the following runs. Ian Goodyear would gain a place in the class this morning, moving up to take 3rd place in Class 8 as well as 14th on the leaderboard. And for Glyn and Gemma Smith, that would mean a move down to 4th in the class. Not the way they wanted to be going on the results, of course, but they still had a few more runs to change that fortune around. For Mark Walker, it would still be 2nd place in Class 9. Almost 2 minutes of a gap to the lead there, though. And Class 1 would change this morning. Billy Cruikshank and Grant Miller moving up to take the lead in that close battle, extending their advantage to a comfortable one now. And that, of course, means it's a drop down to 2nd in the class for Michael Wilson, unable to keep the times up there with the class lead going into day 2. For James Pate, it would still be 19th place to end the morning. No change on the results for him overall or in the class. So with the second day reaching its midpoint, it's no change in those podium places, but fights in the classes and other places throughout the field were far from over just yet. On to the final stages of the event then, and a grueling event it had been in that snow as well. Just look at those finishes. There'd be overall change for Michael Wilson, dropping down to the final position in the results with 19th, 2nd in the class. That change meant that James Pate would be gaining a place in the final runs, moving up to a welcomed 18th overall, 2nd place in his class. It would be a good end to the event for Billy Cruikshank and Grant Miller, meanwhile, taking the Class 1 victory as well as 17th place overall. Richard Cooper and Adam Turner get to the end of the event despite their role, taking 16th overall, 2nd place in the class here at the first round. For Glyn and Gemma Smith, it would be 3rd place in Class 8 for the pair at the end of the day. They end the event with 15th place on the leaderboard as well. Mark Walker has a good run to take the Class 9 victory. A good result for him as he finishes in 14th place. And for Chalky White, there'd be a place lost through these runs, ending the event with 13th place on the leaderboard, taking 2nd place in Class 8. For Craig Mason, it will be 12th place overall. 2nd in Class 3 will be his as well here at the first round. For Ian Goodyear, it will be the Class 8 victory. A good end to the event and ending just outside the top 10 as well with 11th place overall. No change though to that final place in the top 10 for Ben Middleton, still rounding out those places and ending the event with the Class 3 victory. For Stephen Ham, it will be 9th place at the end of the event, dropping a place on the overall results, but that didn't make a difference in the class, taking the Class 4 victory this weekend. And it would be a place gained in the final runs for Huggy Farmer and Richard Rawlinson. Not the end to the event that they'd have wanted, but a finish nonetheless, taking 8th place overall. Ian and Lee Davidson end the event with 7th place. A good end to the event considering they'd failed to finish all the runs in previous seasons. Maybe their luck was improving. For Chris Benfield, it will be 6th place to end the event, also taking 3rd in Class 2 with that result. And 2nd place in that class would be Simon Adams and James Watts. Sadly, a broken belt on the penultimate run would cost them a podium finish and mean 5th place to end a grueling opening round. It will be a great debut in the new car though for Mark Calzoni, taking the class victory as well as ending the event just outside the podium places overall. Onto those podium places though, and it would be that 3rd place for Tim Sagar. A good run this weekend to take some good points, overcoming that earlier puncture on day 1. And it would be a great end to the event too for Gary Bowers. A good run seeing him take 2nd place with a lead of 36 seconds over Sagar by the end. But taking victory this weekend were Aston and Martin Cox. A great start to the season, leading from start to finish. Good times throughout the weekend. It could have been very different, of course, with their day 1 moment, but they get to the finish to take maximum points away from round 1. So confirmation then of the results from this challenging and competitive opening round of the season.
What can I say? The car's been fantastic. Thank you very much to Guy Smith for prepping a bloody good car over the winter. And of course, it's been absolutely spot on. And of course, the big thank goes to the old man, really. I'm going to say he's the one who's funded me and helped me out massively and learnt everything. And everything's just gone well this weekend, really. I'm over the moon. First win ever. So, no.
Tough conditions this weekend. How have you found it yourself?
Well, going out this morning, first out on the road with the snow and ice was interesting, hitting snowdrift, coming straight in through the windows and that. Very hard to see. Apart from that, the car was good, and so you just used to torque the engine instead of letting the wheels spin up, and it just bit in and went. So, very well, happy.
Yeah, fantastic start. Hope to do a few more North events. We've got a few French events coming up as well. So to get a 2nd place, really happy about that. Yeah, lovely.
Tough conditions. How's the car been?
Grip was starting to come back to us a little bit towards the end. We saw our fastest lap on the last run, so the grip was there. It's coming back to us. I think everybody's taking faster times now anyway, so good, really good.
Superb weekend, yeah. Really well run event, and the car's really been faultless. We've had a super weekend. Thanks to all the sponsors once again. You know, without them these events can't run, but weather's been somewhat challenging. But you know, we've got a 3rd, and I'm absolutely delighted with that. Yeah, superb.
Plans for the rest of the season?
Yeah, we're going to give it a go. We'll be at the next round, wherever that's going to be. I don't think it's been confirmed yet, but yeah, we're going to give the championship a go this time, given that the car don't feel as completely, you know,
or I feel it, then we're going to have a go for the championship this year.
That's all we have time for on this episode of Special Stage. Join us next week, same time, same place, for more UK rally and off-road racing. And in the meantime, you can check out our social media for more videos, photos, and news from behind the scenes of the UK motorsport scene. Thank you for watching Special Stage.